Come on, Merlin, we're going live here in about 30 seconds. I think the boys and girls are waiting for us out there. So let's just sit down here. Well, hello, boys and girls and mums and dads. It's good that you've taken time to join Merlin and I on this. It's a very special day. As you can see, it says happy birthday because today is Merlin's birthday. Merlin, turn around and say hello. Huh? Yeah, there you go. Say hello to everybody. It's your birthday today. So I got you a balloon. I don't think you care much about balloons. I think you'd rather have a great big chocolate cake, but that's not good for him, is it, Merlin? Anyway, boys and girls, we've got a few questions here, and I'm going to start right at the top. It says this is from Bay, grade 1. Thanks for the video. Oh, Merlin, they like your videos. You're a smart dog, Merlin. I guess you are. He's 10 years old, by the way, 10 years old. I just wondered, how do you keep your breath fresh? Oh, well, about once a month, the Bish gives me a dental chew thing, and my breath is fresh for about 5 minutes, and after that, it's back to dog breath. But, you know, you kind of get used to it, I guess. Let's see, here's a question from Christian and Alexander in St. Peter's at Nanaimo. What is the best way to share God's love with others and to tell people about Jesus? Oh, that's a great question. Well, I think the best way to share God's love with others is to share our love with others. You share what you have with your brother and your sisters and your mom and dad. And I think when we share with others and we are kind to others, we love others, people recognize that Jesus is with us. And that's the best way to tell people about Jesus. We try to act like Jesus. It's more important with what we do than what we say. Good question. And they've got a second one here. Why did Jesus have God as his father and Joseph too? Oh, that's a great question. God is Jesus' father, and Joseph was Jesus' adopted father, his stepfather. And he took the place of the Father in heaven while Jesus was on earth to help Mary and to help Jesus grow up in Nazareth. Yeah, good question. Here's a question from Joey. Let's see here now. Can God make mistakes? No, Merlin and I know that God cannot make mistakes. God is love, and love is perfect in God. And so God doesn't make mistakes. No, but that's a good question. I know sometimes we look at things and we say, gee, that could be better. Or, you know, I know I lived in the Yukon for 8 years, and boy, there were lots of mosquitoes up there. And sometimes I thought, oh boy, I think mosquitoes were a big mistake because they just were unbelievable, like clouds. But no, God doesn't make mistakes. And then eventually I figured out that all those mosquitoes were really good for all the birds, so, and the fish too. So that's a good question from Joey. Here's a question from Michelle at St. Edward's in Duncan. Does the bishop brush your coat? Merlin? Merlin? Do I brush your coat? Yep, almost every day. And then what do I do with the dog hair? Oh boy, well, it comes off in big fluffy balls and it goes on the parking lot, and then all the little birds come down and pick it up, and I think they use it to build nests. It's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of, it's like recycled dog hair. Great question. Here's a second one from Michelle. Why should I pray to God when God already knows what is going to happen? Here is the most important thing about prayer. It's a conversation. And just like when we have a very good friend, or with our mom or dad or our brother or sister, the way we get to know God is by spending time with God in conversation. And so that's what prayer really is. It's a conversation with God. And then when we have that conversation, we get to understand and to know God better, just like we get to know people better when we have conversations with them. So that's a good question on prayer. Okay, here's a question from Arnold. Arnold is 10 years old, and Arnold lives in Ottawa. Oh my goodness, Ottawa, that's a long ways away. He might even be in bed by now. It's 9:30 in Ottawa. Why did God not destroy Satan? Well, everyone that God has created is created good. And in the case of angels and the case of people, we choose to be good, or we choose to not be good. And so God doesn't destroy Satan because that's part of creation. God never destroys. Why is Satan allowed to destroy the world? Oh, that's a good question. Yes, sometimes when we look at things going on in the world and we think about the news and, bad things happening, believe me, Satan is not destroying the world. When Jesus came, he came to redeem and to save everything. And he's promised us that his kingdom will indeed come, and in fact is here. And so the more we are able to stay close to Jesus, the better the world becomes as we walk in that path of humility and love for one another. So don't worry. Satan cannot destroy the world, because Jesus, in his death on the cross, has destroyed sin and death, and in his resurrection has given us new life. So do not be afraid. Satan cannot destroy the world. The next question is from somebody else in Ottawa. This is from Alina. Alina's 8 years old in Ottawa. Maybe they're brother and sister, I don't know. Has Merlin ever been naughty to you? Well, sometimes he's done some things that I haven't been so pleased about, like when he chewed one of my shoes. But dogs only get to be about 2 or 3 years old in their mind, their understanding. So I can't say that Merlin is naughty on purpose. He sometimes does things that aren't quite pleasing, but not so much on purpose. Like sometimes when he doesn't come when I call him right away, it's because he's smelling something really good and he wants to go find it. So that's a good question. He's not naughty on purpose. It's just he's only in his mind and his thinking. He's only about maybe 2 or 3 years old. But you're okay, Merlin, aren't you? Yeah, you don't do anything bad on purpose. All right. Here's a question from Abby in Nanaimo. Oh, yes, Merlin. Abby is asking this. You sang a song about Jesus being a friend. Yes, Merlin did the other day. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. How do I make Jesus my best friend? Oh boy, that's a great question. How do you make Jesus your best friend? Well, a little bit like the question answered earlier, you talk to him and you listen to him. One of the most important things that we do with our friends is we listen to them. It makes them feel good. Somebody's paying attention to me. Somebody's listening to me. When somebody is talking to you and you're listening, or you're talking and somebody's listening to you and they're paying attention to you, like when you're telling a story, maybe from school to your mom or dad, and they're listening and paying attention, It makes you feel good. And so in a way, it's the same thing with Jesus, that when we talk to him and when we listen to him in our hearts, it's really a great way to make Jesus a friend, because then we get to know him. Yeah, Merlin, I'm right here. Okay. See, Merlin, he even likes it when I hold his paw and talk to him, because he knows that we're friends, right? Good question. Merlin, do you have any dog friends? Merlin? Merle? You have any dog friends? Oh yeah, I know. Merlin's got 3 really good dog friends. One friend is Katie, who's a black lab in Chilliwack, and sometimes Merlin stays overnight at their house, and he loves that. And then he's got 2 poodle friends in Port Alberni, and he stays overnight at their house too, and that's Bentley and Pepper. Bentley and Pepper are Merlin's dog friends in Port Alberni. And boy, oh boy, I don't know how he knows this, but when we drive up the driveway to their house, he gets so excited, he just can't hardly wait, and they play and play and play for as long as I'm away traveling, and he's with them. They like to play. Do you like to be with your friends, or do you like to be just with the bishop? Merlin, what do you think? Well, when I'm with the bishop, I really like that. But you know, when I'm with my dog friends and I'm having lots of fun playing, I don't usually want to go home. So it's a little bit of both, you know. I really like being with the bishop, but I really like being with my friends too. It's kind of lots of fun. And then they've got another question here. Do you ever get jealous? No, Merlin never gets jealous. I don't get jealous. As long as I'm with my friends, and whoever my friends are, I don't get jealous. I think it's good. We all have to have lots of friends, and we just are respectful and kind and loving, and no, don't get jealous. No, I like both the bishop and I like my dog friends, and I don't get jealous. Oh, you're asking another question here, Abby from Nanaimo. What should I do when I get jealous of my friends? That's a good question. Here's the number one thing. Be thankful for who you are, Abby. You thank God for who you are and how God has made you. Be thankful for your family. And be thankful for the gifts that your friends have. The best medicine or the best remedy to being jealous is being grateful and thankful for yourself, for others, and for all that God gives you. And don't worry, when you're really full of thanksgiving in your heart, you will never have any room for jealousy. That's a really good question. Way to go, Abby. Now we got a question here from Elizabeth in Port Alberni. What is the best kind of treat to give a dog? Merlin, what's your favorite treat? All of them. I eat everything. Merlin doesn't have any favorite, just as long as it's food. He likes it all. But I would say, as the bishop, Merlin's best treat is something that hasn't got too many calories in it. And one of his favorite treats, actually, is carrots, which are very good for me and for him. What is your favorite way to pray? I think, Merlin figures that question is for the bish. My favorite way to pray is to listen. I'm very, very fortunate because I have a little chapel in my house, and I have the Blessed Sacrament in there. And one of my favorite ways to pray is to just sit and to listen in silence. It's the prayer of listening. And I must tell you that truly is my favorite way to pray, is to just be very still and to listen. And it's so beautiful, the ways that God speaks to our heart and speaks to our mind and our soul. So that's my favorite way of praying. Now, let's see. I think we've got, I think we had a couple more questions. We've got a couple more minutes. Let's see here. Oh, this is a good one. It's from Amber and Nicole at St. Peter's. And they've got a few questions, but I might not be able to answer all of them. But this first one is really good and really important. Why are there so many different religions? Well, I don't know exactly why. It's just that I do know, and this is the teaching of the church, that God gives grace to every single person to be saved. He gives sufficient grace. And people down through the centuries have come to know God in a variety of ways. They're not all the same. The most important thing for us is to be respectful and to be kind and to just tell people in a very kind way, a kind of proposing who Jesus is. And that is always very helpful. But yeah, you know, the number of different religions, you know, Jewish people and Muslim people and Catholic people and Anglican people and Buddhist people, God has placed on every human heart His grace. And people respond to it in a multitude of ways. So in many ways, it's a little bit like a garden. There are many beautiful flowers in the garden. And God loves them all. And our job as Christians is to be respectful and then to enter into what we call a conversation. We've started that, we've used that word a few times today when we talk about prayer. It's a conversation. It's the same with people of other religions. We enter into, we have a conversation. We need to understand each other. If we see a flower in the garden and we don't know what that flower is, we should try and find out. And we should try to come to an understanding of one another. And it's always with great respect and deep love. God has made everyone. And as Pope Francis keeps reminding us, we are interconnected. And so that means we're all family around the world. We are brothers and sisters. And sometimes we may look very different, and we may pray very different, and we may speak very different. But at the heart of it, we are children of God. And that's the great teaching of our church, that we are all children of God, and we are called in a very, very beautiful way to love our neighbor as ourselves. Well, that was a great concluding question. You know, I'm really grateful for all these questions. Merlin, has it been good getting all these questions? It sure has. It's been really good. But you know, it's going to be summer holidays pretty soon. What is it, Thursday? And school's going to get out, or maybe school's already out. So Merlin is going to take a little break too. He's going to go on summer holidays and not come down here to the cathedral and do this question and answers that you've all been sending in, these wonderful questions. So one of the things you can do during the summertime is you can think about new questions when you get back to school in September, and we can start answering some more questions. Is that right, Merlin? Yeah, it looks like he's ready to go. And also, during the summertime, summer holidays, remember these great questions about prayer. Prayer is to have a conversation with God, to talk to Jesus, and to listen to Jesus. So hopefully you'll have some time, now that school's out, to spend some time praying, having a good long conversation with Jesus about all the things that are happening in your heart and in your family and in your life. And so finally, we want to just say a real big thank you to you boys and girls out there for all these questions, and a real big thank you to your moms and dads, and have a really blessed and a really holy summer, and be kind and stay safe, and remember that last great question: love one another. That's what we're called to do. So I'm going to go get vested for Mass, and I'm going to wish you a very, very blessed and holy and happy summer holiday, and we'll be back next fall. So take care. God bless you. Okay, Merle, I don't know if anybody out there's been singing happy birthday to you, but we'll sing it on the way out, okay? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Merlin. Happy birthday to you.